Hey, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing Flock Together from Sea Cow Games. Flock Together is a 1 to 5 player cooperative game of chicken survival. Yes, you heard me right. This is a 1 to 5 player cooperative game of chicken survival. This is a prototype, all rules and components, everything you see here is subject to change, and I'll have a link to the crowdfunding campaign down below. Going back to the whole chicken survival thing I said, this is a chicken survival. It's a bunch of hens. You're a bunch of hens. I mean, we're flocking together. It's a bunch of hens. There's a whole backstory. If you go through the rulebook, there's a story of all the other animals making fun of the hens and shunning them off into the wilds, and the hens wandered off, and the other animals mocked them and jeered, and they expected the chickens to come running back home defeated, but no, the chickens were going to survive. And there's one older chicken, there's Beakley, Andrew Beakley. Andrew Beakley was an inspiration to the chickens, and he convinced them, no, we have to survive at least one lone year in the wilds. We have to survive. We have to make it through. We have to get through the weather, the various animals trying to destroy us, the famine, the starvation. There's a lot of theme going on in this game. I don't know if you noticed this. It's about chicken survival. In this 1 to 5 player cooperative chicken survival game, I'm going to keep saying that, in this 1 to 5 player game, you are trying to, across 3 rounds of play, across more specifically spring, summer, and fall, each of them are going to have 7 turns in each of them. You're going to be taking actions every single round. Every single round, you're going to go through a production phase, where the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at your specific chickens over here, and earn either a food, or as they level up in this nice handy little book over here, if I can flip it a page, you'll start getting chances of getting egg production instead. But at first, you simply take, the first thing you do on your turn is you take a food, you dump it into your food reservoir. That's the first thing you do. From then, you have 2 actions you can take. So right now, we have Wingston Coophill over there. Wingston Coophill, the famous chicken of World War II-ish. Wingston Coophill over there is going to take 2 actions. So we're going to take this chicken over here, and this is the inside the coop area. And then there's a bunch of areas on the board you can go wandering off to, specifically to fight the various predators. So we have Ursula Bone, we have Esmeralda, and we have Hens Gruber over here are the 3 chickens you can currently tackle, 3 enemies you can currently tackle, the predators, until finally you take down the big bad, and that is how you win, by taking down the big bad. The way you lose is either if time runs out, or if alternatively the game ends and you don't have all your chickens alive, or alternatively if all the chickens are dead at any given point. You see, a dead chicken can be brought back to life. It's called heal? Is it? It's basically healing. No, it's brood. Pay 1 to revive another player, and they take a new chicken. So you have to have all the players alive by the end of the game, or at any given point, if all players are dead, that's another way you lose. So with my actions, and the actions are all handily printed on the bottom of the board, these 3 actions can only be taken inside the coop over here. These actions can be taken anywhere, and then these 2 actions can specifically be taken outside. And so we're trying to get food because we want to level up our characters. So the very first thing I'm going to do with Wingston Coophill is I'm going to take Wingston Coophill, and I think this predator, honestly, this predator is, I don't like this Ursula Bone. They're a bit of a pain to deal with. But Hens Gruber, they all have their own downsides. We'll take down Esmeralda. We're going to go wandering down over here to take down Esmeralda. And the first thing we're going to do is, that's the first action, is we moved to a different location. Not adjacent, just different. Then we're going to forage, taking 1 food and putting it into our food reservoir. That's our turn. That's an entire turn. We've done 2 things. Moving on to it's Cluckberry Finn. Cluckleberry Finn. We're going to take a piece of food over here, we're going to put it into the food reservoir, and then we're going to take 2 actions again, and we're going to, maybe we stay over here. No, we don't have enough attack. I guess we do have enough attack to try to take down this one over here, but I don't know if we care about the roly-poly. So you know what? We're going to go wandering off into the, into here. Here. We're going to go here. We're going to take down Ursula Bone. Why, you say? I don't know. I'm making it up as I go along. But from there, we're going to wander to Ursula Bone, and this time around, we're actually going to go and attack this slug. Now, the slug has 0 health, which means we can basically almost automatically win, unless we roll a 1. So let's try not to roll a 1 right now, and we rolled a 4. Excellent. We now have this slug over here that can help us heal a single health, which would be useful if we were actually down a single health. That's going to be the idea of attacking these various grubs. You have grubs inside the coop that you can attack from inside the coop, and you have grubs outside the coop that can be attacked from anywhere. Now, don't be confused. The various villains can only be attacked in their 4 zones. The grubs are the only thing that is from any outside location on the board. That's it. That's it. We're done. We've done an entire round. We've done everything we need to do, except the last thing we need to do is we need to discard a grub from either inside or outside the coop. We're going to discard this, actually we're going to discard the wasp swarm over here. I'm going to take this and put it down into the discarded grub section over there. That's it. There we go. And now we move on to the next round over here, where we can take our next set of actions. Again, we'll take some food. We'll go ahead and take Wingston Koopa over here, take in some food. And then, you know what? We're actually going to start trying to level up. You see, once we get 3 food, we can go ahead and level up. So we're going to take our 2 actions and use those 2 actions specifically to level up. Well, actually, the first food you take, you use as a food marker. And then we're going to use our second food to go to the second food level. That's our turn. We're done. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to spend our extra action token, which you can only use once per an entire season. And we're going to go ahead and move up 1 more by discarding 1 more food. It's at this point that I forgot that I didn't play our first season card. Every single round, across the course of a round, you're going to have 3 times where you play season cards. We should have played a spring card over here, and we would have had anyone who ends the day near the player loses 1 health. That's going to affect us until in these first 2 rounds, we're going to have 1 season card. The next 3 rounds will have another season card. The last 2 rounds will have a 3rd season card from every single season. We're going to move on to Cluckleberry Finn's turn. Cluckleberry over here, they need 5 food to be able to level up, so we're not really worried about leveling up right now. I think instead, should we attack Ursula Bone? We shouldn't attack Ursula Bone. We'll attack Ursula Bone. Not because I think it's a good idea, mind you, just so you can understand how attacking works. You see, attacking over here is you pay 1 food per level of your strength. Now, Cluckleberry Finn has 1 strength level. As he levels up, he can gather more strength level, but right now he's not there, and it is important to take down these predators before they get too strong, because they will level up each season as well. So kill them early, kill them fast, or they will, The big bad wolf didn't start off as a big bad wolf, he just started off as a wolf. Then he became a bad wolf, and the 3rd season became a big bad wolf. You want to take them down before they get to that point. So we'll attack. Again, it's not actually an efficient move, but we're going to go ahead and attack. We'll spend 1 food per our attack level. So if you have more attack level, you still have to spend more food for it. And then we're going to go ahead and attack this enemy, which means we'll automatically reduce their health by 1. Now, their health is 3 times the number of characters in the game, hence the 6 health. We automatically take down their health by 1, but the enemy is going to attack back right now. In fact, right now, they're automatically going to hit back with 2 damage against our health, but they might, if they roll a 4 or 6, they're going to do 1 more damage. Fortunately, they would not roll. That's a 1 over there. So they're only going to deal 2 damage to us. If they had done 3, we'd be in trouble and have to be revived. So that's a good thing that my really inefficient play, and it was an inefficient play, worked out decently for me. Not good, mind you, just decently. And so that's going to be the process of a round. So right now, you've seen a bunch of the actions at play. Just going through the actions so you have a better understanding. The first action you have, which is in the coop, is laying an egg. That's something you cannot do as a the youngest chick type thing stance that they currently are. You need to level up. But you can do that from here. You can lay eggs. Then you can heal. That's how we heal over here. You can pay 1 food per health, and again, different tiers of chickens can heal 1, 2, or 3 respectively. To try to level themselves up, you need to give in food, and you need to go ahead. By the way, speaking of which, they should have generated a food on their turn as well for the start of their turn. But then additionally, in the brood phase over here, you're going to pay an egg to revive another player, but you have to skip your next turn to do so. So you skip your next turn, and only then does the other player come back to life. So it is expensive. You want to have players not dying in this game. The moving is you've already seen in action. We can move wherever you want. Drawing a card is something you have not seen. But as an action, you can draw a bonus card. There's a ton of these, and you can only have a maximum of 2 of them at a time. If you draw a 3rd, you have to discard it. This one lets you re-roll a die during combat. This one is basically a field hospital, so to speak. You can pay 2 foods to get 2 health, but from anywhere, you don't have to be in the coop to do that. Then the attack action you've already seen. You can only do it on nearby enemies, or internally on grubs, and grubs can be either this grub from inside the coop, or that grub from anywhere outside the coop. You pay 1 per attack level to take them down, and you get the various benefits on them. The main benefit of getting the grubs down is there are sometimes peripheral benefits. You get health, you get an ability you can cash in later. Sometimes you get permanent upgrades as well, which can be really helpful as you go through the game. So you want to keep an eye on the grubs, because every single round you have to discard a grub as you go through it. Then we have eating. Eating is you pay 1 food to increase your level, and you can do 1 level, 1 food at a lower level. You can do 2 at high levels. You can spend 2 food for a single action to be able to build and buff yourself up as you go through the game. So you're trying to be mindful of that. And the last action is gaining 1 food by foraging. Now, the problem is we've talked a little bit about eggs, because you can gather eggs, but we haven't talked about what you do with eggs, which is where we're going to go to the 3rd turn. In the 3rd turn over here, we're going to first have the opportunity to trade in eggs. Any player that has eggs, so for example, Cluckleberry Finn over here, started with an egg. Right about now, this is the egg exchange, which you can do at the beginning of each season, and then here and here as you go through the game, and you can trade in eggs for food. Eggs effectively are delayed food. That's mostly what they come down to. So gathering eggs is helpful, it just delays your process because it's not food yet. We're not going to get into a conversation about the nature of chickens eating their young, because that is a dark conversation that I don't want to have with you right now, but I kind of thought of it as I was playing the game, and it kind of struck me that thematically I think you're eating your young, or you're trading your eggs to other people for food. Let's go with that one. Anyways, the next thing you're going to do as you go to the next season is you're going to go ahead and reveal the next card over here. So right now we have pollen. We cannot fight grubs for the next 3 rounds. So these grubs are just going to sit here not being affected by us. They're still going to leave at the end of each round. Speaking of which, I should have discarded one at the end of the round. You can choose from inside or outside. You want to be mindful of that kind of based on 1, whether you've partially damaged any grubs, 2, whether you particularly care about any top grubs, and 3, the evenness of the stacks, because you will only refresh the stock of grubs when both stacks are depleted. So keeping them even is in your best interest to give you greater amounts of agency as you go through the game. That's a round. That's basically everything you do in a round, except when you're fully done with the round, because we kind of saw a few turns in action, although you will level up faster as you go through this. Those first few rounds are really just about getting your engine in gear, because one thing we didn't talk about, the chickens over here have 3 different tiers of levels and abilities. So when you start off, you start with your basic opening level, but as you level up, a few things are going to happen. First of all, is you get a stronger access as far as, more fighting over here. You have different ways you can pay different amounts to heal or eat different amounts. You also earn a new ability over here. So now we have Quite Friendly, where you can take a nearby player into combat with you whenever you fight. So you have these abilities you'll unlock, and they do combine. They do cascade, so as you go higher levels, you keep all your lower level abilities. So leveling up is helpful. Additionally, now in every round, instead of simply taking a food, we're going to roll a die, and in a 2 or 6, a 2-2-6, we get an egg. So we have egg production, which is not necessarily as good as food production, but it will eventually turn into food anyway, just the delayed gratification aspect of the game. And that's basically what's happening through an entire season. You have your extra action you can use once, you have your bonus cards we've talked about, and that is how a season plays out. What happens at the end of a season, if we fast forward over here, is at the end of the season, ideally you've killed some of these baddies. I say ideally because if you haven't, you're not in for a good time. But when you kill these baddies, and this is something I'm not going to spoil for you, when you kill these baddies, the very last page has a reward that's going to go to the player who killed it, and it's something fun, and I don't want to ruin the magic for you, so I'm specifically not going to show you, but all the various baddies have different rewards, and this is a good time to show you that there are a lot of these little envelopes of cards, and again, this is a prototype, I don't know what the final game is going to have, but here are the various chickens you can play as. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different chickens you can play as, and then there's also, in addition to the 4 baddies we have on the board, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more baddies for 10 total baddies you can face off against, which also means 10 special fun little items you can discover throughout the courses of your playing the game. Yeah, that's basically that. But the baddies you did not kill right about now are going to go to their book and they're going to level up. Any damage you dealt them, so right now this goes from 3 per player, in other words 6, to 4 per player, in other words 8. But we already did 1 damage, so it's only going to go up the difference in the amount. Any damage that was on the character stays over, but now you're dealing with someone who is stronger, who definitely needs a little bit more hitting in order to take them down. So you want to level up yourself as fast as possible, and then take down the enemies before they have a chance to level up. That's ideally what you want to do, but you only have 3 seasons to do this. And that's effectively flocked together. You're going through that process. You're defeating grubs. You're leveling up your character. You're constantly getting your hands on food. Food is a driving force in the economy of this game. Although once you've done with all these over here, at that point you will finally go ahead and reveal the big bad. It's only when you defeat everyone else you reveal the big bad. The big bad goes straight to the 3rd level of play. We have Chicksoon over here, and right about now he's going to have 4 health per player plus 3 health per player. The big bad has more health than the opposing enemies, and he is much more dangerous because he starts at level 3 with more health. You take him down, you win. You do not take him down in time or you all die, and you lose in Flock Together. Chickens are just trying to survive. This is, like I said already, a 1 to 5 player game of chicken survival, a cooperative chicken survival game, and that's going to be that. Which means it's time for the review, starting off with ease of play. Overall, the rulebook's incredibly easy to go through. Now, I will say, that's with the caveat that some of the various things throughout the course of the game, either cards or sometimes character abilities, weren't immediately clear to me how they operated. I was able to figure it all out. Again, prototype, so I give them all the grace, but I do hope they have some sort of FAQ or something to address some of the player abilities and different stuff. Like, both the enemies and the player abilities, there were a few questions here and there. Nothing crazy, but just things that I wasn't 100% sure certain. But past that, the rulebook is, we have an entire page of narrative flavor text over there. We have the components, we have the setup, and then from here we have the actual game starting on page 9, and only a few pages of actual gameplay is all we have over here. That's it. That's all we have. Very easy to go through. Then we have strategy tips over there. A very easy game to pick up and play. Everything handily printed on your player board for ease of access. You don't even really need a player aid over here. As far as things I like, don't like, and can see others not liking, starting off with what I liked, which first of all, the production on this is insane. And this is just a prototype, so I don't even know what the final game is going to be like, but obviously illustrated by Andrew Bosley, fantastic artist. I love the general presentation of all of this. I love the way these books are, even just the way these fit into the groove of the player boards. You have a nice little groove over here for this binder, a little flipbook binder to be in there. And that sense of discovery as you have these characters, where their art evolves and their character abilities evolve. In the case of the enemies, you can probably play it either way. I've personally enjoyed playing it, diving into it without knowing what's happening next on the enemies, without knowing what you're going to unlock, without knowing their tiers. Obviously, the more you play, you'll pick that up. But I like that sense of survival, sense of surprise as I go through it. You're going to have decks full of grubs. You're going to have decks full of bonus cards, although the bonus cards art is really sparse over there. That's more just a text, nothing really, no art going on there. We have all the various seasons of play and all those cards going on. We have these resin eggs that are going to be added to your game, and so you have that, and you have all these, little grubs with all these different shapes and images. They don't have any gameplay impact, at least not yet. The different shapes are just for the variety of play, but overall production quality on even just a prototype over here is off the charts. Additionally, the character and villain books are a huge part of the sense of adventure you have in the game. The character books, they really are fun. You have a giant roster of characters to go through, and unless you're playing a 5-player game, even a 5-player game, you'd have to play 2 full games to see all these characters. They have little biographies on the back. Everything is absolutely adorable. We have Attila the Hen, we have Annie Oakley, Wyatt Chirp, Agatha Christie, Cumberbill Rockefeather, General Tso. I should have played a General Tso. I think I missed that one. I would totally have played a General Tso. Sherlock Holmes. We have a Madame Tchaikovsky, Beowing. So many fun little characters over here. And I don't know what their plans are for more, but these do add a sense of variety because all the characters come with their own abilities. This is not just art and backstory. These are different characters that will affect the way you interact with the game state and flock together. And then we have the enemies, which won't have as much of an impact on your game. You definitely have to adapt to what they do, but they're not going to be as impactful as the character abilities you're going to unlock over here. But again, these are going to give you a sense of story, a sense of upgrading as you go through it. Just overall fun time as you go through these different books over here. I really like this. I like the system. I want to see this done more in games. It's a fun little, almost a narrative approach to a completely non-narrative game, a sense of exploration in a game that's really about a one-shot play. I like that combination there. And the grubs give you a fun little thing to chase because as you go through these decks of grubs, you're going to have some things that are going to be really important. You're going to have the ability to call for an immediate egg exchange, to give +3 food to a teammate over here. For one attack, you may ignore the predator roll effects. You have a lot of these abilities that are incredibly game-breaking in different ways. We haven't even talked about the fact that, as you level up Winston Churchill over here, Winston Cooper, I apologize, you're going to get the top level evasion where you can dodge a predator's return attack if he rolls a 3 to 6, which is incredibly impactful, especially if you're facing off a level 3, what's the name of the character again? Ursula Bone, that bear, that big bad bear over there. When she gets to level 3, I'm not going to spoil it for you. She's scary. All I'm saying is she's scary. You don't want to deal with her at level 3. And having Winston Cooper in your clan of chickens over there will give you a fighting chance against them. And so there's a lot of variety to everything going on. The bonus cards as well. Bonus cards are a little less immediately variable, but they'll give you different things. +1 to your own strength, negative to your enemy strengths, allow you to re-roll dice, allow you to heal yourself in combat. Lots of fun little abilities that will just give you small things to go for. Even extra actions. Spend an action to get a card, and then trade that in for 2 extra actions, so you have a lot of fun little things to go for whenever you have a turn that just you're not sure what to do with. Drawing a bonus card is not a bad way to go. And then finally, the reward for defeating a baddie. Those rewards are a big deal. Again, I want to say some things, but I don't want to say some things. I don't want to spoil the surprise. But I will say that those rewards have sometimes been like, okay, that's nice, and other times they have been the reason I was able to win a game. And so the rewards for defeating the baddies at the final page of the book is very fun to go through. As far as what I don't like about the game, there's really 2 things, and one of them is a small little nitpick. The other one is a bigger deal for me. The small little nitpick is this entire premise of eggs. We have this giant basket full of, tokens over here. We have this giant basket of all these colorful eggs, and the entire egg mechanic in the game is simply delayed food. I kind of wanted more from eggs. I wanted more from the system. We already have these food items that are totally different, but all mean the same thing, and I can get behind that. I'm fine with that. The game, not every game has to have 14 food or resource types, and that's totally cool. But foods are, you have food and eggs over here, and eggs are basically like, okay, great, we got eggs, and we'll turn that into food later. It's not bad, it just feels like there's an entire different resource at play, which is just a delayed food mechanic, and I kind of wanted more from the egg system. Whether more could be even more things to do with them, I wanted more from the eggs, some sense of variety that eggs bring to the table, as opposed to just, we have food, and then we have the thing that will become food if you give it a little bit of time. The bigger issue for me, which is kind of around this whole food thing, which is a lot of the game is effectively get food. Get food, get food, get food. You're going to have 2 actions every single turn, and a decent amount of your game is going to be get food. Why? Because in order to fight, you need to spend food. In order to level up, you need to spend food. In order to heal yourself, you need to spend food. In order to do anything in this game, you need to spend food. And so you're constantly, and the problem is, you'll take a single attack action at strength 3, that will cost you 3 food. How long does it take to take that 3 food? Well, it's going to take 3 forge actions. And so the economy of your actions and how much time is spent getting food versus everything else in the game, the game works. We'll talk more about this in final thoughts and all that. The game works, the game is fun, the game has charm to it, and it has a lot of good things for it, but the pure amount of action economy in this game that is simply catered to get food, get food, get food, spend a fight over here, get rid of all 3 food. Oh, look at that, I also get hit back, so let's spend another 2 food to heal. So a single battle system, a single battle mechanic, a battle engage, can cost you 6 food sometimes, which could be 6 actions catered towards that. And so that imbalance of how much time, effort, and energy is spent around food, that was something that definitely took a little bit away from how much I enjoy it. I will say, you do get food every single turn as part of your, or possible food if you're rolling for eggs, so you do have some naturally coming in, but still that imbalance, it just felt like so much of the game was focused around the acquisition of food and much less focused around the fun things you can do because they all cost food. As far as things I can see others not liking, first of all, weather is just there to keep you down. Across the 3 ages over here, the 3 seasons, spring, summer, and fall, every time you draw a weather card, they usually range from not that bad to worse. They're rarely in your favor. The final season, I think I saw one card as I was going through this, I think I saw one card in fall that is good for you. It could be I missed them, you don't see all the cards as you play through it, but overall the weather's just there to be, hey, here's a negative event, here's something you can't do, here's another thing you can't do, here's another thing that's going to be bad for you if you do that, which, I mean, let's be honest, that's kind of like real life. Weather's just there to keep you down, but that's something that you might not appreciate about the game. It's just a negative event system in the game. And then also there's a lot of dice rolling in the game. A lot of dice rolling that certainly does add up to a degree of luck as you go through this. Some things actually, interestingly enough, like a basic fight mechanic, when you fight someone, you pay the food, but you don't actually roll to fight or deal damage. You simply deal damage, which I appreciate. But there's so many other things in the game that do involve you rolling dice to see whether you get eggs, rolling dice to see how bad the predator's counterattack will be, rolling dice to see whether you actually, miss the attack entirely. There's a lot of things that do have you rolling. I know I just said you automatically hit. Usually you automatically hit. There are some enemies or grubs that you can roll something that might cause you to miss. So mostly automatic hits, but lots of rolling dice in the game that may or may not be your jam as you go through this. As far as final thoughts and on Flock Together, I overall like Flock Together. There's a lot of charm to this game. There's a lot of fun to the system. It is one that I definitely started off. My first play of this, I started off and I was not loving it 4 or 5 turns in. I was like, this entire game is food. Get food. Just every single action is forage. Forage, grab a bonus card, forage, more foraging. Oh, look, I spent some actions leveling up, and now we'll forage some more. The first few turns of the game really felt like a bit of a slog. Now, as I leveled up, it did shift. My balance, my approach, the way I felt about the game did change the more I played it, the more I got into it, both through the first game and subsequent games. It is a system that I do enjoy while still feeling that the amount of time spent focusing on food is disproportionate to what I would want from the experience. But the rest of the game does give you a lot of things to look forward to. Lots of action economy management, lots of leveling up your character to unlock abilities, lots of playing as different characters to get a sense of not just how fun characters can be on their own, but how they can combine and interact with other characters to give you a different puzzle every single time. Different enemies you face off and fight against to get their goodies to help you through the game, and the various grubs you're going to be foraging for. So there is a lot of things to go for in the game that do enhance the experience, not just as you play through one game, but also give you replayability to dive into other games. At the same time, the food mechanic does hold it back for me just because of how much of the game is spent on food, and then the one shift from that is eggs, which are basically more food. And so for me, this is a 3.5 out of 5. Definitely a lot of things I like and enjoy about this one, while also kind of wishing there was a little bit less focus on food. I have enough of that in real life for me. In any case, as far as other game recommendations, first of all, if you're looking for a game that does a little bit more, but not that much more with your adorable little eggs over here, obviously Wingspan is going to be a nature-themed game that has adorable little resin wooden eggs. I think they're resin. Different, whatever, material eggs as well. This time for laying different birds as you build out a tableau across 4 rounds of play and a decreasing number of actions each round while trying to balance 3 different economies of actions in the game. And then if you're looking for another nature-themed game, also illustrated by Andrew Bosley, that gives you another sense of survival with a whole different theme going on and less focus purely on chickens, well then Everdell is going to be a game that I strongly recommend as being an incredibly rewarding tableau builder from Starling Games that is just a fantastic game. And now they have Everdell Farshore as well as a new fresh opportunity to dive into that system if you're interested in that instead. In any case, then until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.